With no offence to the Minister for State, I am disappointed considering that the Minister with responsibility for justice was sitting here in the chamber only a half an hour ago. When I saw her on the monitor, I thought she'd be here to listen to my concerns. The past number of years has witnessed an erosion, I suppose, of the resources to the Gardaí in terms of the manpower, in terms of resources themselves. If you look back in the last 4 years, there's been 1,600 less Garda. There's 139 Garda stations has closed. There's instances, I know, in my own constituency now presently in Granard, where senior positions are remaining unfilled for a long period of time, and that's leaving a lack of leadership in these stations. And we know, of course, of Garda cars that are going nearly up to 300,000 and 400,000 kilometres on the clock. But I do want to compliment the Gardaí for the job that they are doing in extremely difficult conditions. And I raise this topic here this evening in the context of recent bouts of antisocial behaviour in my hometown of Mullingar. And I want to put on record, for the most part, Mullingar is an extremely safe, quiet town and very well policed. We benefit from CCTV system, which acts as a great deterrent and has helped solve many crimes in the past. But only recently, the town was awarded the internationally recognised Purple Flag Award for how safe it is and for the fact and the manner in which the Gardaí respond to certain instances. But unfortunately, in recent months, we have witnessed a series of antisocial incidents of substantial nature. On St Patrick's night, one full street in Mullingar had to close down, and the Gardaí were quick to intervene. 3 of the Gardaí were assaulted, one of them requiring hospital treatment, and a number of the members of the public assaulted also. Again, the venue where that emanated from on St Patrick's night, that was the 3rd time when we had antisocial behaviour in that vicinity. It was repeated again on Easter Monday night, not to the same magnitude, thankfully, but nonetheless it was repeated. And as I said, the root cause of this antisocial behaviour stems from one licensed premises. And I will acknowledge that in the last number of days, the Gardaí has been able to manage to secure a temporary closure on the same public house, and they have brought about a number of the individuals who were involved have been brought before the courts. But it's not strong enough. It's simply not strong enough that people can bring a street to a halt, cause serious anxiety among the people, the residents who are living in that street, among people who are coming into that street, among other businesses. Other businesses had to close their doors because of the level of antisocial behaviour. Businesses who were conducting their business in a proper and appropriate manner. And the Gardaí, all they could do, all the legislation would enable them to do, is give a slap on the wrist. Close your door for 5 days and reopen, and hopefully all will be revealed, or all will be resolved. Minister, I'm asking you to bring it back to the Senior Minister that we need greater legislation, stronger legislation, more robust legislation to ensure that people, that sections of our community who feel that can flagrantly break the law, that there are consequences for that, and that the consequences are serious, and the consequences are that they will lose their licence, that premises will be closed down, because we have to send a strong, clear message out there that this type of behaviour will not be tolerated. It's not fair on the people who are living next door, it's not fair on the businesses who are conducting their business in an appropriate manner, and it's not fair on the reputational damage that it can do to a town like Mullingar. It's simply not good enough, and I would ask, Minister, that at a very minimum you would give a commitment to look at the legislation to ensure that we can resolve issues such as this, and that also, when we know that there's instances such as this going on in towns, and I'm sure there are similar instances in other provincial towns, that the next batch of recruits that are coming out from Templemore, that Mullingar Garda Station will be a priority to get additional resources to ensure that people from this community will know that this type of behaviour is not tolerated by any manner or means.
Deputy Troy, Minister, you have 4 minutes.
Thanks, and thank the Deputy for raising the issue. As the Deputy will appreciate, the Garda Commissioner is responsible for the distribution of personnel along the Garda regions, divisions and districts. Garda management keep this distribution under continuous review in the context of crime trends and policing priorities, so as to ensure the best possible use is made of these resources. The Deputy will be aware that this Government and the Minister is committed to resourcing on Garda Síochána. Restarting recruitment was a key priority, and last September we started to deliver the first recruitment of new Gardaí since 2009. From September 2014 to the end of this year, the number of new recruits entering Templemore will total 550. I can assure the Deputy that the Minister is in ongoing contact with the Commissioner in relation to the overall response to the problems of anti-social behaviour. Another key priority for Garda Síochána is to tackle public disorder and anti-social behaviour by working with communities to reduce this type of behaviour and to enhance community safety. This approach includes a strong focus on quality of life issues and collaboration with local authorities to help address the causes of anti-social behaviour. There are a range of strong legislative provisions already in place. These include measures under the Criminal Justice Public Order Acts and the Intoxicating Liquor Acts. Garda have powers to deal with antisocial conduct that is attributable to excessive drinking, including exclusion orders in respect of premises and closure orders in respect of licensed premises and catering outlets. And you alluded to one yourself, Deputy, in relation to Mullingar. In addition, Garda have powers to seize alcohol, to forestall public disorder or damage to property, or where a person is underage. Where antisocial behaviour is directed at property, the Criminal Damage Act 1991 provides for a range of offences and penalties, including imprisonment for a term of up to 10 years upon conviction. The existing provisions provide Garda Síochána with a wide range of powers to deal with offences associated with antisocial behaviour, including juvenile and adult cautions, fixed charge penalty notices, as well as the bringing of prosecutions. There are also provisions under the Criminal Justice Act 2006 for civil proceedings in relation to antisocial behaviour by adults and specific provisions dealing with antisocial behaviour by children. These provisions set out an incremental procedure for addressing antisocial behaviour. In engaging with the Commissioner on these issues, the Minister has asked her to consider if there are further legislative options we might consider which will be of assistance to the Gardaí. So we are actively considering legislative measures, Deputy.
Minister, Deputy Troy, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you, Les Concor, and I thank the Minister for his reply. And I suppose the most positive outcome, or the most positive thing I can take from the reply, is that the Minister has asked the Commissioner to engage, or has engaged with the Commissioner to see are there any further legislative options which we may need to consider. And I believe there are. I do not believe that any sections of our community, regardless of what sections their community are, every section of our community has rights, and no one disputes that. But every section of our community has responsibilities. And there are a particular section of our community in Mullingar who are not responsible in their actions and who do not carry out their responsibilities to the wider society appropriately. And there is a level of antisocial behaviour that has materialised, particularly in the last number of months, in one particular licensed premises in the town of Mullingar. And we do not want that one licensed premises in the town of Mullingar causing reputational damage to our whole town. And what I believe needs to happen, and I want to put on the record and compliment the Gardaí for intervening as quickly as they have in the last number of instances. But they are stretched to their limits. And I went and I met the superintendent and I asked him, did they need additional resources? And he said, of course, every station needs additional resources because of the reduction in the last number of years. We won't say no to additional resources. They need additional resources, but what they urgently need is they need appropriate, robust legislation that will enable them to go into that licensed premises, to put a closure order on the licensed premises, to go to the court, to ensure that that licensed premises will never open again, and send a clear message out to the wider community that this type of behaviour will not be tolerated in any society. This type of behaviour is not going to be tolerated, and I think and I hope, Minister, that in the engagement with the Department and that the Commissioner of Garda Síochána, that we can bring forward proposals to ensure that when behaviour such as what pertained carries on, that licensed premises will no longer continue to be in operation.
Deputy Troy, Minister, you have 2 minutes to reply.
Thanks very much. I'm trying to read between the lines of what, Deputy, you're saying, and I think you're touching on relatively dangerous ground if you're attempting to pit one community against another. And you want to be very careful as how we describe issues in communities and issues within communities. I'll say this much: I think if we were to address antisocial behaviour purely as a policing issue, then we miss the point almost entirely. Because, as I've said previously in my previous contribution, the Garda Síochána and other agencies are constantly dealing in how to empower communities, empower entire areas. And when antisocial behaviour occurs, it's already a failure right across the board. And I had a meeting this morning with young Ballymun who are talking about the advancement of the ABC initiative, which I think you'll be familiar with as well in your portfolio of spokesperson on children. And the whole point is to empower parents and to empower entire communities to look deeper and more profoundly about the issues that affect communities, and to get to dig deeper into issues around parenting, which is an important issue around this, around advancements in education, around the whole issue of empowerment. Once antisocial behaviour begins, if the only response that society has or the legislative parliamentarians have is a legislative one or a policing one, well then I think that's to miss the point. Of course we have to be strong in defending our streets, our towns against antisocial behaviour, but it's the reason why those antisocial behaviour happens in the first place is often a more difficult question to answer, and that's why often policymakers shirk from answering that question. So I think we have to maybe be a bit more, investigate deeper the reasons as to why these incidents take place. I know in my own constituency as well, you have endemic antisocial behaviour issues, and you can have 100 or 200 or 300 police officers, members of the Garda Síochána, patrolling the estates, and they may deter people from coming out and engaging in it, but the want and the need is still there to engage in that activity. And why is that? Why aren't young men and young women in certain backgrounds in certain parts of the country getting enough empowerment from the mainstream society that we are providing them? Why are they trying to find empowerment in a different type of activity? I take the points you make obviously very seriously. We both will be anxious to see what the Garda Commissioner has to say in relation to the approaches that the Minister has made to her. But I would again caution anybody to try and potentially move into dangerous ground and to pit one community against another.